Hello and welcome to Better Offline. We're in beautiful New York City, Nevada. We're on 55th Street, and I am Ed Zitron, of course, and I'm surrounded by incredible people. Better Offline. To my right is Cherlynn Low of Gadget.
Hello.
How are you doing, Cherlynn?
All right.
And we've got Alex Cranz, reporter, critic extraordinaire.
Yeah, I just like to be really happy about Nevada. It's beautiful here.
Beautiful
Nevada is
New York
great.
City, Nevada.
Yeah.
Sunny, it's warm.
Yeah,
I love it.
People love it.
Yeah.
And of course, Victoria's song from The Verge.
Hello, hello. Sunny New York in Nevada.
Yep. That's the thing. People think I do this accidentally. No one knows what I do deliberately, and that's because neither do I. So we were all just talking on the way in here about possibly the best tech journalism we've ever read. And it's a story by a guy called Kevin Roose. He appears to be a child who was allowed to write for the New York Times. The article is called Powerful AI is Coming, and we're going to read you a few sentences, and we're going to discuss this.
Here are some things I believe about artificial intelligence. I believe that over the past several years, AI systems have started surpassing humans in a number of domains. Math, coding... Wait. Math? Math? Are you fucking... Anyway, there is an article that was in the New York Times AGI thing that Kevin Roose wrote. A child in a man's body, like big, except Tom Hanks. He can act and actually complete his job, and Kevin Roose appears to have a gas leak. He has said that possibly very soon, probably in 2026 or 2027, but possibly as soon as this year, one or more AI companies will claim they've created an artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which is usually defined as something like a general-purpose AI system that can do almost all cognitive tasks a human can do. If you believe this, you're a moron. I'm sorry. What do you think? Like, I don't know. I just don't...
Well, I think he's like gassing him up because he wants to flirt with more AI. And so, like, he needs an AI.
Hang on. Flirt with AI like they're your girlfriend?
This
This
is
is the man who got AI to fall in love with him.
Yeah, he's Bing was like, leave your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like
Which
this,
is so funny.
This guy...
It's so funny just being like, he was really scared
This
as
is
well.
a person who
He's
has a
like,
wife.
oh, no.
Yeah, like this guy... You know,
Okay, keep
I've been
flirting.
using a lot of AI. I've been talking with these ladies about it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And I think of it, I love using AI because it'll be like, you are the best writer on the
We were
planet.
just talking about this,
And
Alex.
I'm like, guess who told her to do this?
Okay,
Like,
guess
did it
who was
for
just
herself.
validating her decision to do this?
But you know, you use it, you love it because it tells you you're beautiful and pretty and smart.
Even
and
though
then
none of it is true.
It's not true.
None of it is
It
true.
lies. It told me I could win a Pulitzer Prize in
You
like
can.
a 1 to 3 year period, and I mean, I
Why
love
not?
that.
Hey, shit,
It
AGI
could
will be here
happen.
by then.
Yeah, no,
They will win the Pulitzers.
It will win the Pulitzers, but it was just like, yeah, you could win a Pulitzer Prize, and I was like, based on what criteria are you telling me this? And you know.
Are you using Claude as well?
Well,
I
it's
was
because
using
it's-
Claude and ChatGPT to
It's
do
it's like
this. It was-
horoscopes.
Right.
When you get a cool horoscope, you're like, yes, this is awesome. You understand I'm a great Gemini.
Yes.
But then you're like, no, but it's fucking not real because it's a horoscope.
You are.
And
You
this
wanna
man
believe what you wanna believe.
is out
peak
there being
Gemini.
like,
I don't know any horoscope stuff, so...
but this
Oh, we
man
can
is
talk.
out there
Yeah.
like, you know what? I really believe that I'm a Leo and that this understands I'm a Leo.
Well, let me read you one passage as well. I believe that hardened
AI skeptics who insist that the progress is all smoke and mirrors and who dismiss AGI as a delusional fantasy not only are wrong on the merits, but are giving people a false sense of security.
And I just want to say, that is one of the dumbest fucking things I've heard in my life. The people who criticize this are not actually... They're giving people a false sense of security, as opposed to the guy being like, the computer will wake up in 2 years.
Well, because
A false
he's
fantasy.
saying the danger of AI is AGI, when in fact the danger of AI is the destruction of jobs.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
And-
even then, it's not even
Yeah.
doing that. It's taking away jobs from people who are already having trouble getting them.
He's like, oh, Skynet's going to do it. No, Skynet's not going to do it. Elon Musk deploying whatever little chat GPT bot he does
Yeah.
is going to do it.
But
But get
also
over
just,
yourself.
like, AI is not infallible. It makes up a lot of stuff that's
Yeah.
wrong, and it's just it doesn't understand how to be human in a lot of ways.
Neither does Kevin.
From that one sentence, though, I can tell who his audience is.
Yeah.
Right? He's talking about
Idiots.
a false sense of security for whom? For the people that are developing the AI, right?
Yes.
That's because none of us out there who have jobs that might be taken over by AI have any sense of security and the idea of an AGI that will be competent enough to take over jobs.
Right.
So his audience, he's not talking to us. He's not talking to people who have jobs that might be replaced. He's talking to the people developing the AI, the ones who want to make money from it, right?
I also don't know what the full sense of security would be. Like, oh, don't worry, this isn't going to fuck them over. As opposed to the fact that you've got one company, SoftBank, borrowing money to put money into OpenAI, which burns billions of dollars to make a pretty shit product. If we're like not something that you can find some cool things with, fine, but for the most part is the same thing as we.
If you
have
were
to
using
use.
any AI as a search engine, you should stop immediately.
Yeah,
Do not do. I know, Sam Altman, you're listening to this right now.
I wish.
And you are just so ecstatic about ChatGPT. You love it so much. It is a terrible search engine.
It really is.
What is it?
Yeah,
51%
that's fair.
I think now at this point. Like there was a recent study, 51% of the responses are false.
Sick.
Something like that. Like this stuff is bad.
It's
at
like
it.
actually bad. Like, that's what drives me insane. You get an article in the New York Times being like, the computer is so smart, the computer is so strong. I love the computer so much.
Because it told you, because it gasses us up. It's spending all its time being like, you're smart and strong, so I
But
must
then
be
if you
smart
talk
and
it
strong.
if you talk to it too long, though, it just starts negging you, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm not smart enough." Strong.
I'm
And it's like,
self-loathing.
It's just
You're
sort
too
of like
self-loathing
You're
for
a bit
it.
too
and
self-loathing.
it's like you're so good. I'm like,
I refuse to believe
between
that.
you and my therapist, this has never worked.
get-
Nice try. You can't swindle me, a computer. It's just so strange as well because ostensibly, you three are wonderful reporters. Like I've read you for years, and it's like you're not cynics, but you are willing to be critical.
Oh, I am hardened as they come when it comes to the hardened people
Right, but
who
you
don't
like
believe
the
it.
shit still. Like, you're
Yeah.
excited for it. This is not even excited for it. What's weird about this piece, other than the fact it's just completely wrong in almost everything it says and clearly supporting billion-dollar companies, it doesn't even seem that excited. It's not like he's like, I can't wait until this happens because imagine the cool shit that could happen. And like, I don't know, come up with an idea perhaps that's like, oh, if I had an autonomous intelligence in my phone, it could plan my day for me. How delightful. Despite there being 17 different companies that claim they do this already on Instagram ads, does not exist. But he could come up with an idea of something cool, but it's like, actually, AGI is coming. What is it? I don't know. It's inevitable, though. The thing that I can't describe is inevitable. And I don't know what it will do, but it will be good or bad.
He's refusing to define AGI through the entire piece.
Yes.
And he's like, and it's going to keep being redefined. And I'm like, if you cannot define the word, you
Right
can't
now?
use the word.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We take
That's
that
fair.
word back.
Yep.
Kevin, you're not allowed to use AGI until you can actually define it.
I
Yeah.
don't think you should be allowed to use the computer for a minute.
Yeah.
Go outside. The theme of... So...
Use the Touch Grass app and step away.
Touch.grass. So, Victoria, you had a delightful review this week of a device called the Bee. Please
Yes.
tell us about the Bee.
Okay, so this review, which is B by V.
B by V.
B by V.
We
That's
do not
good.
like those two letters together without the by, though.
Yeah, okay. Anyway. Anywho, yes.
I
So,
think I killed Ed.
yeah, you did kill
It'll
Ed.
take a lot more to kill me.
Okay, so you just like toppled Ed for a second.
Yeah, we are.
But so, B is kind of the latest in the AI gadgets that claim to be your memory. You know, you wear
Uh-huh.
it records everything you say. And when I say it records everything you say, it records everything you say.
Okay.
So it records everything you say, listens to all of your conversations. It doesn't record the audio, but it then processes everything into a transcript. So you have a transcript of your life. And then from that transcript, you can use the chatbot to search the history of your life. Or you can get these daily summaries that just be like, oh, this is what you did today. These are the conversations you've had. This is the places that you went to. And then it'll also suggest to-dos based on your conversation.
Right.
Right.
So I wore it for about a month. And it wrote some really great fan fiction about my life. And it was also
Can
like...
you read us some?
I
know-
actually
I
have
should've-
one of my favorites,
yes.
which was when she was listening to TV Off by Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yes, yes,
I said,
yes.
here's one of the moments. Victoria instructed Mustard to turn off the TV, reminding them both to avoid getting sick again and mentioning leftover charcuterie.
Yes.
Have
This
what?
this
Okay.
fucking rules.
It's because, like, obviously, about the time when I started testing this, the Super Bowl halftime show was just, like, in everyone's mind. And I
Right.
was, like, blasting TV off everywhere because I'm
Yeah.
like, yes! And also, mustard! So that was just going in my house, like, a lot. And so the bee is picking this up and mistaking it as, like, things that I'm saying.
Yes.
It would be like, someone is very sure of themselves because I'm watching TikToks and they're bragging about themselves. it also like so there's this bit called that I call Fact Tinder. They call it Fact Review. So in the app, based on your conversations, you'll get this window and there's just like facts about you, and you swipe yes if it's true, no if it's not
it's
true.
absolutely
Nice.
So one of my Fact Tinders was like Victoria knows someone named Kendra Montisha who enjoys mustard and turning TVs off. Which is just like
Jesus.
you know, okay.
You know.
and in my review,
Yeah.
I made this little carousel of fact tinders that I was given that you can just go through and try and guess which one of these are true. There was one that was just like Victoria has specific dietary needs and she can't eat lollipops, and I'm like, I don't even know how I made that up. For your information, I don't recall talking about lollipops. I don't recall eating a lollipop. I don't know where you would get this information from.
Damn.
That's nuts.
What
Yeah.
what was the LLM behind B again? Was it their own?
It's a mix of available LLMs, such as I think Anthropic's and OpenAI's, as well as their own. So like they're not giving the actual mix, but
What was the point?
Hang on.
your memory. So
Alex, I can tell you
How
the point.
rude.
I want one of these things for me because I'm the sort of person that talks a lot and then does nothing at the end of the day with it and then I want it to be like, here's all your to-dos based on all the crap you said today.
Was
that promise true?
There is a glimmer of a good idea in
Yes.
here because I have ADHD.
There you go.
I think everyone consistently has conversations with people in their lives and they'll be like, yes, we should follow up
Exactly.
on that. And then you don't follow it up on that
Yes.
because you didn't write it down or you didn't put it
Same.
in there. So the idea that gleaning from your conversations that it would do that, it's not a bad idea. There are a lot of people with memory problems who might like that. Unfortunately, you also have to have a pretty good sense of self in order to fact check this AI because otherwise you are going to be gaslit constantly. So the way I wrote this review is like I kind of wanted to take people into what it's like to actually use it, how it changes your behaviors, and all of that. So like I included my day one. I commuted on day one into the office. I went and I took a briefing for Bold Hue, which is a foundation printer. Very cool device.
Saw that story by you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I'll link to it in the notes.
But so like I found that I took that briefing and I went to the office that day. I had dinner with a friend and I went home. So a day where I had a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
And of the 5 to-dos that it generated that day, one of them was like follow up on thoughts that were shared but not like deeply dove into. I'm like, what the fuck
Okay,
does
thank
that
you.
mean?
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Yeah.
Sure.
The most
thoughts
generic
that were
thing.
shared
Let me
but
just
not
check up on my thinking.
that we
Yeah.
didn't dive. I don't fuck. What does that mean? The second was like urgently check on your patient in Louisiana, as they are in danger of self-harming or harming someone else. And I'm like, what the? Where did that come
Wow.
from? Where did that actually come from? And the
Yeah.
other one was check your car because it's making rumbly noises. So let me tell you. The car that it told me to check was probably the NJ Transit bus,
the bus.
because that was a bumpy ride coming in. The Louisiana patient, I'm guessing, was someone on my commute talking about
And
something
this
or
thing
watching
is
something.
just on you the
Yeah.
whole time.
This thing is
listening to
on
everyone.
And
you
what's the
whole
battery
time.
life like?
And it depends on how often you mute it. And the longer I wore it, the more I muted it because it
Yeah.
was starting
Picking
to
up other
feel
things.
like surveillance state.
Yeah, sure.
But around anywhere between 3 or 4 days in a week, depending on how often you're muting
On the charge.
on a charge.
So
Is the actual plan of the bee to just gather so much random conversations that it can like better train its LLM?
Even then, would that work? Because it doesn't seem to know shit from fuck.
I don't
It
know.
doesn't even do
because
voice
they'll have a
detection,
bunch
like-
of people
No,
that they
it does
don't
do
pay very
voice.
well.
It does
Did you
do
train
voice. You do when you set it up. You do train it on your voice.
okay, and it did a poor job of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it often thought my husband was me.
Or
and
random
my
people on
husband
the
has
bus,
a
yeah.
much deeper voice than I
Right.
do. So it,
love the future.
You can label speakers and whatnot.
sure.
Doesn't that defeat the point?
Right.
It does.
Too much
It
work
does.
at the end
it
of the day.
also doesn't
Yeah.
always work. I tried labeling speakers and it wouldn't save.
wouldn't
And then
take,
the
yeah.
one time it labeled my friend, all women from thereforth, who I talked to were this friend. So it was like, this friend did this for you, did this friend. I was
Now
like,
that's the tech
no,
product.
they didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't
that's
do
a
that.
tech product.
They didn't do that whatsoever.
I
So-
have a question. So when you took your briefing, did you have a conundrum of whether you wanted to mute it? Did you tell people
Yeah,
you were
if you- were
using
you,
it?
like, telling-
Well, it's a briefing. So
Yes.
generally, those
You
are
usually
gonna be
have a
recorded.
recording,
I was
yeah.
actually recording
On your
on
phone as
my
well.
phone.
Right.
I totally forgot that I was wearing that thing.
Oh.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like I was fully expecting to just use my phone recording of it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it has processed my conversation. And to be fair, the summary I got of that meeting was actually quite good. It did.
From B.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was quite good. It was similar to what Otter does. It
Yeah.
was summarizing the key takeaways from this very structured conversation. It also memorialized forever, so that I know this is true in multiple different outlets, that Sir John, fiance's makeup artist, said that I have great skin.
Oh,
yeah.
That's worth everything.
That's worth
yeah.
everything. And it like
you do
memorialized
have great
that.
skin. Let's memorialize it
Like,
here
I am
again.
not wearing foundation right now.
That's a better offline fact.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I have great skin, and
There we
I
go.
have spent so much money ensuring that I have great skin with many Korean skincare products.
Oh, we will talk about
But
that.
we will talk about this. But just, so like, this is memorialized. I love this. And, but the thing is, so it got all the facts about the thing, right?
Yep.
Including pricing. All of that was correct. Launch date, got that correct. Got the name of the product completely wrong.
Sick.
Was
called
it a uniquely
Formule.
spelled-
It was
okay.
called Formule. It's bold hue. Not remotely the same.
This just
in
sounds
there.
like it's just generic, like, because Otter does this. I'm guessing they use similar models. I'm guessing it's just the same models that everyone else uses to take voice. Like Rev.com does this as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, the most impressive thing is a thing that large language models do already. I have to wonder if its inability to tell certain people apart is kind of almost going back to, like, one of the core problems of AI type stuff, like when the Connect could not see black people. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if they've done much training on voices that are not from white women or men.
So they do offer 40 languages.
Well, so
Right,
does
but-
so does Otter and these other things.
Listen,
None of these transcription
listen.
services work
Listen.
very well.
I know that. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah,
telling
Okay.
you.
Alex, slow your roll.
Audience doesn't know this.
Yeah, but
Thank
like,
you,
they're not
Alex.
journalists like
Let
us.
me talk.
They don't have
and
to
then
use
we will
garbage.
jump in.
I am just saying they offer 40 languages. I did not test whether the other 40 languages were
Let's
good.
test some languages
ma'am.
now. No, I'm kidding.
I cannot speak anything other than English, and even
We've got about 4 languages
Yeah,
between us.
we do have
Yeah.
about 4
Two
languages.
people in
between
this
us.
room have 4 languages.
The,
Well,
the
I have
non-white
5.
people
And then
in
there's
this
the
room.
non-white.
The non-white people in this room have about 4 languages between us.
But the thing I'm getting at is, like, 40 languages does not cover the race problem.
Yeah.
So I think what you're getting at, Ed, is that like technology frequently does this because
Yeah,
of the
it
info it's
flattens it.
trained on. It doesn't train on a wide enough set of people to cover the broad spectrum of people in our
Right.
world. I will say that like
Also
these
talking speed.
exactly talking speed, talking pitch, talking like cadence and
Local
patterns.
dialect.
I do think though that what both Alex and V were getting at or to is that this particular product is so far behind in its like algorithms and the machine learning side of things because Otter, Rev, even Google Recorder or Apple Memos, voice memos, can better identify voices and tell them apart and then attribute them very accurately.
They also
But it's like-
struggle.
They still
It also-
struggle, but they're so much better.
So, like, here's the other thing. This thing, because it's listening to things at all the time, also struggles to tell between broadcasts and live
Right.
conversations.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So, I'm watching an episode of Abbott Elementary,
Yeah.
and, like, I just have to, like, emphasize and underscore that it takes up about 10% of your active brain at all times to be like, should I be muting myself right now?
Right.
Like, you do that. Like whatever you do in a Zoom call
Yeah.
currently, imagine doing that 24/7. It's a
Very
lot of
cool.
your brain that gets
Does
devoted
it
to that.
process when you go to the bathroom?
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can tell you didn't read my review because that is in my review.
I actually didn't remember whether it did. There was a lactate-related thing.
So anyway, we're gonna address all these points. We're gonna address all these points. Okay.
I need to know if that was lactaid or lactate.
Lactaid for dairy purposes.
okay, 'cause I heard the other
Okay,
one.
we're gonna
Okay.
start with the broadcast thing. I was watching an episode of Abbott Elementary, and the suggested to do it gave me was monitor union strikes because students may have a hard time coming to your class due to SEPTA strikes. I am not a public school teacher in Philadelphia. 1, 2. it can also read your emails if you give it access.
Right.
It told me to check, to basically take this unique ID identifier and check this Park Mobile claim settlement and file by March 5th. I checked all four of my inboxes. I cannot find this email. I have no idea why they told me to do this.
So cool.
One morning after a particularly fibrous dinner, I went
to take a big
to the
plop.
bathroom and I committed crimes, okay? I committed crimes. I was wearing this stupid thing. Not stupid, but, I was wearing this device that I was testing. I turn around and I go, oh, damn, that was a shit. And then a second later, I went, oh, shit, this thing is listening to me. And then I muted it far too late. I look at the summary it gives me, and it goes, Victoria humorously vocalized her bowel movements. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Headshot.
And then I had a one-on-one with my editor. And the summary, because it was within an hour of this happening, the summary that it transcribed was, Todd, Victoria's editor, humorously brought up that he saw on a shared platform that they had a fact that she had vocalized her bowel movements.
Oh my God.
They laughed about it, and it was funny. And I was like, do you think that I would commit such an HR violation as to tell my freaking editor that I had a particularly impressive dump that morning? No.
Subtitled.
I would
However,
not,
Victoria-
unless I would not tell anybody this. I would take this to my grave unless it was to demonstrate the fallibility of AI. Because this is a human
good reason.
good.
Yes.
A human good for me to be humiliated.
Yes.
So I shared this, and my conclusion is that death, sex, and bowel movements are things that AI should butt the fuck out of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Because I got some real interesting notifications from this, and I was like, I didn't need you to know that. I didn't need to be humiliated by that, but the suggested to do was to start carrying Lactaid.
from the poop?
Because
Like,
I'm
that was
lactose intolerant, and I had a conversation about how I was lactose intolerant, and it said start carrying Lactaid again because lactose intolerant symptoms are coming back, and I was like, this is fucking rude. Helpful.
And 2 days later,
so
it's like,
helpful.
do not have mustard. That would not be good for your bowels.
And
like,
don't turn the TV off.
Yeah.
But so I do want to say that it does learn broadly things about you that are accurate.
Yep.
So by the end of my month testing this, I had fallen down into several existential crises. But there is a chatbot that you can talk to, and so I asked it things like, am I a good person? Am I a bad person? What type of person am I?
One who needs Lactaid.
And takes big
Anyway, so
humorous Victoria.
So, yeah, and I was like, what is my communication style? How would you describe the themes of my
Ooh, if
past
it could tell you if
month?
you're an ENFP or an INTJ.
Or, like,
It's
that'd
about
be great.
scientific.
Yeah.
What's my relationship like with my spouse?
Oh,
and
God.
So, yeah. So,
Don't ask Kevin Roose.
the funny thing is I was very touched because it was like, you are definitively a good person.
Aw.
Here's like 6 reasons why with transcript things, like it's like you constantly show up for your friends. You stand up for right and wrong. You do this, and this. And I was like, oh my God. Wow.
This is the validation we were talking about.
Validation
So
I'm talking
lovely.
about. And
Yeah.
it's just like, you prefer direct and honest communication. You don't play games. And I was
Okay.
like, yes, because I am
would
an
it
Aries
divine
Mercury.
that, though?
I'm Aries Sun, Leo Moon, Aries Sun, Leo Rising, Aries Sun, Leo Rising, Aries Moon, and Aries Mercury. And it's basically like astrology and AI both agree
Jupiter
that I
ascending.
don't fucking
And they're-
I don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm very direct. What you see is what you get. Super honest. And I was like, oh, thank you. That's so nice. And they're like, you advocate for your colleagues. Oh, it's true. I am a
But what
union
use is
rep.
this
It's like,
information?
listen, my
Self-validating.
self-esteem is
Yeah.
it's 6 feet under. I need an AI with transcripts to have definitive objective
Sure,
proof
but
that I'm a good person.
how nuanced are these going
You
to
don't like when a computer says you're pretty?
I don't.
I love it.
I don't care.
I love it. The computer was like, "You are such a good writer," and I was like, "Thank you."
We're getting
so
into
much.
Severance zone, aren't we? Like,
Yeah. It was,
you should have seen the to-dos it gave after I watched an episode of Severance. It made no sense.
Watch a more interesting episode. Like, The one.
I
How
watched
dare
4.
you.
Okay, no, I've loved this season, but the one where she
I've
goes
watched
out to the
4.
cold. With,
I watched
the last
4
one.
Yeah,
episodes.
I love
That was
that
not
one.
the episode that I watched.
no.
It was the.
No, I've loved this season. Okay, because the
No.
pics
The
will come from
episode
me in
that
the
I
emails.
was getting, the episode that I was getting to-dos from was from the one where it's Gemma.
It was all about Gemma.
It was all about
Yeah,
Gemma.
yeah.
So,
episode.
that was a beautiful one.
That was a
yeah.
beautiful episode. But when I looked at the to-dos, like I was like,
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
This doesn't make any sense
Don't-
whatsoever. So,
Go to the dentist. Donate blood.
yeah, it was just like not like that. It was just kind of closer to the
You can't choose the
discover,
room you like.
Yeah.
or it's like follow up on thoughts that
Follow
were
up on
shared
Cold
that
Harbor.
were not. And I was like,
This is now a movie pod.
yeah. Honestly,
I have some other practical questions. So it's $50
Mm-hmm.
with no subscription, yes?
Yes.
How the fuck does this make
Yeah.
sense numeric? Like, so they claimed in the review, you said they're going to do it on device, which is a thing that everyone says, and I've never seen one of these companies actually execute. So $50, and they're so it's
I'm pulling up my
she's
fact
showing
number.
Victoria
you affect
values
Tinder.
honesty and does not like dishonest behavior.
I
And
agree with that. From what I know,
I
of Victoria.
agree.
It says that's one of your hobbies.
I know.
Hell yeah.
Oh, look
It
at
says
this.
Victoria.
Your
believes-
hobbies are being a good person.
Wait,
It
hang
says-
on. Show me.
It says Victoria believes in
Leading.
leading with love and kindness and calmness in in
interactions with family. And you have it's tagged at the bottom as hobbies.
As
too,
tagged
Alex's
as
point.
That's so
hobby.
good.
But yeah,
Victoria understands Korean to some extent.
안녕하세요.
Jesus Christ.
Victoria has a partner named
Very
Gabe.
Correct.
accurate.
That's
Also a
correct.
hobby. Also a hobby.
This is labeled as health. Victoria has lost both of her parents.
Jesus.
Yes, this is true. Victoria values family relationships and wishes to maintain them. Also true.
I would love it if it said otherwise. It's like Victoria's.
This
like,
is politics, which is also true. Victoria has been involved in discussions about family inheritance and estates.
Tagged as politics.
That
Yeah.
is true.
very good.
Victoria has an interest in visiting family
Sure.
in Korea. True.
Hobbies.
Victoria has collaborated on a gadget-related podcast.
Wrong.
Wow.
This is true.
Wait, so it's very gamified almost.
It's also
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very obvious.
Yeah.
Like these are things. I have to wonder. See, the problem is, I would love this company to burn. I think the idea of this concept is horrifying. I think it's upsetting that it exists. However, I would also love to see like a 10 people's worth of data on this, just to see if they tell everyone very similar things. Because how the fuck do you define? Like, is it willing to be like, you sound like a dickhead? You do not care about your family.
Like, I
you
would
do
love
not.
to.
I was
know
going to
that.
say, I think the flip side of it validating you is will it pick up on behaviors that are negative in people that have like these traits? Like we, in social
Yeah.
media and in popular culture now, we're calling everyone narcissists, right? If you
Yeah.
watch any episode of Love is Blind, it's like, that's a narcissist and that's a manipulator.
And it's a guy who
It had
is.
opinions
Yeah.
based on Love is Blind as
Ooh,
well.
I love
One of my
that.
fact tenders in the review is saying
Yeah.
that Victoria had an incident where Madison left the room.
Yes,
and I'm
Madison.
Like, she did leave the room.
We will
but
talk
not
about
with
LIB
me.
after this. That's where my point is. Like, is right now the people who are using it and testing it are getting these positive responses and feedback. I'm curious to see what it would do to any number of CEOs or billionaires that
Listen,
might be
it has
told other
also
things.
listened to me bitch to friends about things and has recorded those things. Those were not included in the review because I would
You would
I
name
would
certain-
get canceled for some
they
things
didn't
that
put
I
it out
said.
there. I see.
It did also listen to me talk for about an hour and a half about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and
Okay.
my opinions
Tasty.
on that.
your
Nice.
friends, I assume it thought.
Yeah, actually, it said Victoria's team balcony is Victoria's team balcony
I
in a
too am
celebrity
team balcony.
gossip context, and I was like, yeah. It also gave me facts such as Victoria has a living room and a kitchen.
Thank
So
you,
thank
AI.
thank you for that.
I'm glad you have both of those. Yeah.
One of my favorite things that it did was it summarized a conversation between. So what happened was that we were having some late night cookies, Oreos, and I dropped one into the cat's empty food bowl, and I went 3-second rule, and my husband goes, "That's disgusting." And
is.
I say, "In an apocalypse situation, you would eat that Oreo," and he went, "I have a heat gun. I would just disinfect it." It took this conversation and went. Victoria and Gabe have have disagreements about how to handle smelly things in an apocalypse.
That was a disagreement. Good job.
It was a disagreement.
I'm just like,
What was the
feels
smell
like-
involved?
what is the point of any of it?
Yeah.
Who is looking at this and going like, finally.
Well,
I'd
what-
forgotten I had the smelly Oreo. No,
Listen.
actually, the Oreo was left out. How would you possibly know?
Feels like the bee was this like little toddler robot in your house looking at you going through your life and then taking notes, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know what the notes are for, but it's taking notes, right?
taking
It
notes.
just sounds like...
It like gives you an update on your
sounds
day.
like every guy a like 25-year-old woman has dated in New York who's just like on his phone just going, yeah, he said something about smelly Oreo or some shit. Yeah.
I will
Yeah,
say-
I think you had an argument.
Every
What?
once in a while, you do get a really good to-do, though. Like, it was like
Like?
follow up with your video team about making a social for the Bolt Tube. That was something I
Okay.
actually did. Call the plumber, which I did. Fix the HOA violation that you left festering for 8 months.
How
which
dare you.
I did.
Different catalogs.
So, like,
How-
some of them are good.
And how frequently are they good? Like
It's
one out of
like-
every.
Yeah.
I would say it depends on what you use it for. So if you're using it primarily for work conversations, which is
So you mute it when it's not.
When you mute it and you only use it for work conversations, your batting average is quite high for takeaways that
Like
are good.
90%.
No, like 60. 90, Cherlynn. I'm not saying
optimist.
60 is pretty good.
This is the worst it'll ever be.
And it depends on how many people are in
Yeah.
the conversation with you. So it listened to a staff meeting, and the takeaways were not so particularly good for me, but they would have been great for someone in the
Okay.
particular thing. But then, if you're talking
useful
with
for you,
friends,
okay.
like it's difficult because you're talking with friends. You have to go like, hey, so just so you know, I have this thing on me and it's listening and it's going to have some AI insights. And some of my friends are techies, so they're like, oh man, what LLM does it use? So
Yeah,
like they
like us.
don't mind. My bestie is just like, another one of your fucking devices.
Yep.
Sure, go ahead, whatever.
My friends are so
One of your
tired of my
gizmos.
shit too. Yep.
Yeah, one of your doodads. Go off. My husband, however, was very much like, it is not useful enough to
Yeah.
invade my privacy.
That's a great
That's what I was
review.
gonna-
It's the people around you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is $50
Worth.
like $50 to invade your privacy
Yeah.
forever, to give
Yeah.
all of your, not just all, like your bowel movements,
Yeah.
everything to a company you don't know, worth it.
I
Do
mean,
you-
they. Okay, I have to come on here and say I did ask about the privacy.
Yep.
It's not like I didn't ask
Yeah.
about
Yep,
the
I was
privacy.
going to ask that too.
They
Yeah.
are working on a local phone-only model.
Yeah, working on
No,
that.
working
Right.
on that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
No,
No,
sorry,
I'm not
Victoria,
no, just to be
Victoria.
clear,
I
I'm
know.
not criticizing you.
Yeah.
I know.
No, no.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
The other thing is that everything is encrypted in transit and at
Sure.
rest.
Good.
They have a third party auditing their privacy protocols every
Okay.
so often, and then no audio is stored.
Okay.
It's just processed, and then
Ah.
you get transcripts. Which, sometimes I was like, I would actually like audio proof that my cousin made me cry, so that I could shove
Yeah.
it in their face in the future. But
But it's still doing a
it's like-
transcript, so
it's still the transcript is not always correct.
It's not
is
always
what I will
correct,
say.
but
What's
like-
crazy is this company raised $7 million a year ago,
I can't believe
and
that.
it took them this long to come up with a
What
product that
fucking
kind
waste
of works.
Money. That money could be built, like saving so many lives. I'm sorry, I'm so angry.
Burn it. You feel warm at least.
It's
well,
funny.
I think it's
because-
no. I will say I think $7 million. They produced hardware.
Yes.
That's a thing they did for $7 million. I mean, that's almost impressive.
It's almost impressive. But
It's-
that's
it's so
kind of
hard.
the review of AI, though.
Yeah, but no, I think this
It's
is
almost impressive.
This seems the most no disrespect, a pointless, deeply flawed
Yeah.
product. Only 2 steps above the rabbit.
This feels like some
It
shit I
feels
hear
like
about.
Calling
I
it
gave it a
above the
5.
rabbit is very
This
interesting.
is like
to
a
me.
2015
5
ass
out of
product.
10.
This is some
Because-
Indiegogo fraud.
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I
That's
gave
what.
it a
That's what.
5 because it worked better than Humane at what it said it was going to do.
Okay, that's fair. It's
So-
also $50.
It's
Yeah, it's
because
also
well, it's
$50.
also because that, and also Humane made way greater claims and promises. Rabbit
Yeah.
also made very great claims. I want to point out that like I find it funny that like there's a lot of concerns of invasions of privacy, and I get that for people around me there is an invasion of privacy. I was intrigued by the $50 B because like Victoria, sometimes I do want like the audio recording of things happening in my life.
There is
as receipts.
Like I said, there's a
but what do you
glimmer
have?
of a
Hold
good
on,
idea.
hold on. What do you have in your pocket What are two on the on right here in front of us?
I have
all
nothing but
phones.
good luck and stars in my eyes. Alex.
Yeah, we
It's the
all
extra
have
step,
phones.
though, right, Cherlynn?
It
It's the
It
extra
is,
step
something
that
that's
it's
always recording. Alex, you don't think like maybe myself and Victoria, I'll speak for myself, do, which is that I feel as if everywhere I go every day, I am more at risk of like needing to back up my experience, to defend myself.
Right.
To, like,
So-
and that's why that sort of device always felt appealing to me, and maybe Victoria.
So, like, I think
Could you?
in an enterprise sense, it does make sense. If you're a lecturer, if you're a lawyer, if you're, and you need someone to
No
take notes.
lawyer in their right
I'm not.
mind.
I'm okay. Not a lawyer in
was
their
an
right mind. A
Yeah.
lawyer in their
In their
wrong
bad
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
in their
Okay.
wrong mind. But just someone who takes a lot of meetings and needs a lot
Sure.
of
That's
notes
right.
from those
Yes.
meetings, like. There is like a use case there.
Yeah.
There
But the problem is with those, and I understand what you're getting at, is like doctors and lawyers. Here's the thing: they need
HIPAA.
HIPAA.
It needs to work.
They need
needs to work.
accuracy.
Yeah, yeah,
If you
yeah.
get a nuanced thing wrong in the law,
Yeah.
that tends to be what lawyers
That's
love.
the problem. So that's why I'm saying there's like a glimmer of
Yeah.
an idea there. There's
Right.
like I think there's the glimmer
That's
of the idea.
generative AI writ
That
large.
is.
Yes.
It's just fucking. There's a glimmer of an idea.
is the suggestion of a good thing. It's not
Yeah.
the good
The
thing.
s-
It's just-
concepts of a plan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
exactly.
like if you spend a month constantly reviewing your own life
Yeah.
and fact checking what
Yeah, how
things
did that
happened
leave you
and-
feeling?
Not well.
Yeah, you
Okay.
feel
It was
insane.
like I felt insane a little bit because I was constantly fact checking
Gaslit,
and I was
yeah.
constantly like when I actually thought like it was reading my text messages for a while
God.
because like I was like these are private conversations I had in text messages on encrypted platforms. How is it even
Yeah.
knowing
Were you
these to
just
generate
typing
them?
out loud?
Where
no,
you take
no, I don't.
voice dictation.
This did really affect my behavior over
Yeah.
a month because I realized that like an offhand comment, it can just glean so much from that. That was just frightening to me
I feel
because
like-
I would say like a thing in passing to my husband and be like, "Oh, here's an update on that," and it would just, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And so I've actually been very quiet the last month. Like I don't speak anymore to myself after the poop
After the
gate,
poop one, yeah.
after Poopgate and bathroom crimes. I was
Yeah.
like, I do not
Captain's
say
log.
anything to me.
Oh my god.
I meant to ask if in the encryption process whether the sounds of plops get encrypted too, but I guess no. I would love an audio file of
I
that for myself.
would not.
Just
That's
I
horrifying.
Just, like,
I mean, I
no.
keep
But
strange
I
sounds.
think that there is a larger thing here, though, that this is a classic tech guy idea. It's like,
Right.
what is an idea I'd have? Oh, I want to memorize everything that's happening around me and be able to analyze it and then do these insights.
Yeah.
It's actually a very cruel way to live because we say things offhanded. We,
Forgetting is like very
Important part of life,
part
yeah.
of and like
but
that's
being
where
fallible, our existence is not something that is written down in its entirety. And indeed, I don't know how useful it is having everything written down.
So
It's not at all
A fun thing
unless
that I
you're
did-
like a researcher.
Yeah.
100 years from now is absolutely gonna love to know
So-
how V responded to her bowel
the
movement.
funny
Oh my
thing
God,
is that,
they're going
like,
after her.
I-
Like the anthropologist 200 years from now,
They're
it's gonna be
happy.
like Ann Lister. They're just like, thank you for giving me all of this.
They've listened to this and they're like, we need to dig up Victoria's file now.
And that's
God.
the only reason. Like, if you're an
Poor Victoria.
archivist,
I'm
so sorry.
Listen, okay.
No, I didn't. B did.
Anyway, I would just like to note that I am a avid diarist and a journal a
Oh my God, I
journaler.
heard
I would have
something
gone
else.
with another way of saying that personally.
I heard diarrhea.
Oh, fuck you guys. Anyway, I write in
I'm
a
a
diary
diarist.
daily. I journal.
I journal.
Daily.
I also
You
journal
journal.
regularly.
I journal regularly. So this
Yeah.
past month, I have journaled every single day.
Because,
and the things that I write down and that I remember as memorable are not always the same thing that this thing
Right.
picked
Yeah.
up. Because a lot of my thoughts and things that are important to me and memories that are like meaningful to me are completely silent. So my philosophical question is if it doesn't happen out loud, if you have a society where we're all wearing these devices, if you say nothing out loud, does it count as your memory?
Right.
And this device would say no,
But it's
because it
also-
can't know that from you.
It's also a very crude analysis of memory itself. Human memory is insane.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's the things we remember are done in chunks. The experience of being alive, at least for me, is it's not like my thoughts like, and now I'm on a podcast and now I'll say the thing. It's like idea.
There are apparently people who do.
I
things
actually
like
do.
that.
Those people are no.
Wait,
Okay.
Cherlynn, you think
What's
like
it
this?
like to
Wait,
be
I think
normal?
like that.
What's
a
it
bit,
like
yeah.
to have an internal
I
monologue?
have an
I have
internal
one of
I
those.
don't.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't have an internal monologue.
it's more adjacent to cornholio for me, but Cornholionic. You mentioned something earlier, though, Cherlynn, I want to go back to, which is, you said this thing about feeling the need to document things around you. Can you go into, like, what is the thing pushing you to do that? Having to witness it.
It's because I feel as if maybe in part of my life, I've talked to both of you about this before, where I encounter things and then I feel as if I get questioned about them afterwards and people don't believe me, right?
So like journalism brain.
It's journalism brain. It's microaggressions being thrown your way daily.
It's being a lady.
It's being a woman. It's like the things that we have to think about all the time. So like I feel as if I had a wearable microphone or camera on me all the time, this is why I reviewed The Humane with great enthusiasm at first. I feel as if one of those people who catcalls me across the street, I had like documented evidence of that, and I could bring it up, like how many times it happens a week. I could have like valuable knowledge on my hands to be like, when people question if it really happens that much, I can be like, look at all these instances. So for that reason, I have a lot of things that document parts of my life. To your point, Alex, I have phones that record a lot of my conversations when I feel they're important.
Right.
There's my security camera outside. I'm like, whatever it captures promotion, I have it triggered on a motion sensor and it records everything, and I'm like, I don't pay now for the backup that like allows me to go back in time and look at them all the day, but like if I did, I would sit there and look all the time.
Yeah.
I think that experience is not every woman or every person who feels that way, but I don't know, something in my like upbringing or my culture like has led me to feel like that.
There's a fine line, because I do think that when you do that, when you are constantly reviewing the documents of your life, it can be not so great for your mental health.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
It's not.
super. It's
No.
like
It's
my
judgmental.
conclusion is that like part of being a human is understanding when you need to forget things
Yeah.
and
Right.
move on.
And instead you're
I don't trust
inviting-
an AI to do that for
Yeah.
me.
A really poorly implemented, honestly, because of how
bee?
how badly it failed
Yes,
you.
yeah.
You're having a poorly implemented AI
Right.
that's intending to profit off you in ways we still don't know, because $50 to have that many AI like
Yeah.
recalls
Yeah, they're not
is-
making money.
They're
No.
burning cash. So where are they making their money? That
I
like
think there is plans down the line to have
subscription,
some sort
yeah.
of subscription.
Yeah, of
For
course.
Right now,
Has
there
to be.
isn't one.
that is the way of every
the only
single
way.
one of these
Yeah.
products. We see this again and again and again. There's something that like really moves Silicon Valley, and they get really, really excited. In this case, it's AI, and they're like, "How can we commodify this? How can we make money off of this? How can I go and make money off of this?" Shit, I think that all the time. I'm unemployed right now. I'm always thinking, "How can I
Hire
do that?"
Alex Cranz. She's
yeah,
great.
I'm
Yes.
awesome. But it's this constant thing, and then they release this product that is pretty terrible. You gave it a 5. It is clearly not finished, and it is for such a small group of the population. How on earth do they expect anyone in the normal world who's just out there existing, who goes to Walmart all the time and doesn't listen to podcasts all the time, to be like, yeah, I want to take this little
Yeah.
$50 thing that's going to charge me money
Yeah.
monthly and wear this on my and record everything I do.
No normal person.
No one would.
No.
No one
No
would.
normal
It is
person.
such brain worms
It's
to
insane.
think that this is like
But you have that a lot in like Silicon
Do you think-
Valley,
Yeah, but-
right?
but
They
this-
only think about the positive of it, and like
No,
one of the
they
things
don't.
is like
All they're
they don't
thinking
think
about
the negative.
They're not thinking
Life
about the
is not
positive.
positive.
all the
Let's be
time.
really clear. They're not
It's
thinking
not
about the
positive.
positive of it. They're thinking about how can I make money
Yes,
off of this?
growth.
How
Yeah.
can I grow?
Yeah.
That is, it is this growth at all cost thing.
Yes.
That is, and it's
And it's
disruptive.
ruining this world.
But I mean, when they market it, they tell you all the good things it can do, but they never like really get into the fact that like
But,
this
I
thing
mean-
listened to me cry like pretty heavily after I got into a fight.
I'm sorry.
And then I had to review the transcript
Yeah, it's
Oh.
and then
awful.
look at it and then just like have it analyze how I was feeling, because it was like the
Oh,
day
it's like
was
when-
a sad one for
I-
Victoria.
It's like when Amazon did Tone.
As someone who's recorded one of her own firings before, you don't want to listen to that
No, you don't.
stuff.
Oh, I've
That's
recorded a breakup
horrifying.
before. That was great.
Oh my god.
You don't.
I did it for
want
legal
that.
reasons. That's unhinged, girl.
You know me. I am unhinged.
Oh my god. I want to like.
You're
need a
lucky
hug.
I haven't
You need
recorded
more
all
hugs.
our conversations, honey.
and-
no. Here's the. I will clarify that I record. I don't go and review every day. I think that's really detrimental to your mental
Right.
health. I
Yeah.
do it for the receipts. And
Yeah.
and in that breakup example, I don't think I actually recorded it. I wrote down every single word I
That
can
is,
remember.
and
afterwards.
that's different.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
yes.
It's
I think
just
that would be
It's such
huge
an-
invasion of privacy.
I think what I'm really frustrated by is this is another example of a totally unfinished product. And we're seeing this again and again and again. We saw it with Apple this last week,
Apple
where
Intelligence.
when you've
Yes.
got Gruber and Gurman and a lot of these other people coming out there saying, "Hey, something's wrong
when
with
you've
this.
got
It's not
fucking
done."
Gruber being like,
I don't like them.
But exactly, you've lost Gruber. That means you've failed, and we're seeing that. Like, if Apple is out there rushing a product when they know it's not ready,
Especially
when
Apple,
they
of all the
don't have
companies.
all of the stuff,
Yeah.
they don't have the use cases.
Yeah.
It's like what we saw with VR. I spent years covering VR, waiting for that big moment, and everybody said it's just around the corner.
it's not.
Always around
V,
the fucking corner.
is it here yet?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to
Why
check.
did you ask
Thank
me?
you.
Is it because V is in her name?
It's
Yeah.
because she does a lot of VR coverage.
It's Victoria
And
reality.
augmented
Thank you,
reality.
Victoria. Exactly.
I've seen her wear a lot of different glasses.
A lot of smart glasses,
just-
which are...
And also, the company that made this, by the way, the founding team came from Twitter.
Oh, sorry.
They helped ship Twitter Spaces, you know, that beloved product, and some sort of video chat app called Squad.
Okay.
That's a gem.
Squad, the anti-bro startup, is creating a safe space for teenage girls online. And wait a second, let's see who founded this. Esther Crawford. I think she's the woman that helped Elon Musk. Anyway, point is, these fucking people don't care at all. They're not sitting there being like, how would this be helpful? Because the most helpful thing would make sure it was really focused. That
And
it was
just
able
like
to discern a professional
Yeah.
but they probably can't do it because it isn't fucking possible. It's just yeah.
People cared about people with money cared about other people, we would be spending this money on cancer research where the NIH grants are being pulled and stalled right now, or they would focus it on improving the healthcare system of this country. But people do
God.
not care. They care about taking their money and growing it for more money for themselves.
It's
That's
just
it,
like
which I hate, by the way.
I don't expect people to suddenly become good people overnight, especially if they have money. But there is just like one thing where it's like you have to, at the very least, create a good product experience for people. And the
Right.
thing that frustrates me the most when I review products is that I feel like there's just this Pollyannish like view of what life is from these people in Silicon Valley, where
Right.
it's just like I have had a life of great suffering.
And they think it's like,
I've been through a lot of shit. Like both my parents died, my dog died, my entire immediate family died in the last 5 years.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's not, but it's fine. I have like a lot of traumatic stuff that has happened, and it's kind of changed my perspective of these kinds of devices because life is not pretty. There are just
Right.
moments where it's very hard, and where these sorts of to-dos, I can imagine a time where, like, when I was in the height of my grief, where I would have loved a thing to remind me to do stuff, to listen to the conversations that I was not processing, to give me those to-dos. Like, there are moments, and I think there is a desire for something like that AI could ostensibly, at some point when it actually works, a lot of like asterisks here, that could help people. And I think if people want to pursue that, that's great. But you can't do it without acknowledging the fact that not every moment in your life is going to be pleasant. They're going to be embarrassing. There's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be these negative experiences that you don't necessarily want summarized to you in a way that you're going to have to review and feel Did your ex gaslight you? Guess what? The AI is going to gaslight you about how that horrible douche gaslit you.
Yeah.
And like that kind of thing is just not necessarily great. And
But
you
can
get
I-
it across
can
so
I
many different categories.
Put on my business person hat. It's not just bad.
She's putting it on.
I know.
she is literally.
It's
She's
a
got
bad
one.
hat.
It's
It's
a
really
big
cowboy
top
one,
hat.
apparently.
I
It's
was like, it's a little
Stetson.
top hat. Let me get my monocle out. It's not just it's bad for people. It's a bad product.
Yeah.
Like let's be clear. A lot of these products we've seen again and again and again trying to do AI, trying to make it. Google's done some decent work in this space with decent. But most of these products continue to be bad. They continue to be searching.
I'm sorry,
for
I've got to push back on that. Like what with Google? I'm sorry.
Notebook LM alone is
Oh
more
my
impressive
God,
as
if
There
I
was,
needed-
there was that thing where you could erase a person out of a picture.
Oh, Magic Eraser.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's not generative AI though.
Yeah, it is. It's generating.
Is that generative?
It's
It's not.
generating that
It's
sky.
it's not in the era of. So Google's done that before the rise of
Yeah.
OpenAI.
What else did it do?
This is,
I ain't
by the way,
telling you
this,
shit, lady.
this is also the industry that the entire economy is built on top of, just to be clear.
Yeah.
And these are some of the most well-credentialed tech people, and we're all just going, fuck, why?
Well,
why
so
is
hang on,
this?
pause. I want to pivot to all of that by saying there is a good product that's built to help people feel better. You're pointing at me.
For AI.
No, not AI. That's the thing.
I want to talk about.
You wanna
there's
talk about
so much
AI?
of
We'll talk
these-
about AI.
It's like
Finish
a
your thought.
Mexican standoff of pointing.
We were
happening right
pointing
now.
at each other so hard.
They
really
are,
were.
They are really. They're doing the Spider.
We were the Spider-Man.
Yeah, but they're not similar. They just
Okay,
are.
no, but Cherlynn, make
Anyway.
your point.
Yeah.
Wait, who's going?
I
Cherlynn.
was gonna go.
Cherlynn's point.
I have been using this app. I encountered it through a coworker who wrote about it for us. It's called Finch. It's an app that's like a self-care app.
Right.
That
The one with the little
the birdie.
animal, the little birdie.
Yeah. So by taking care of yourself, you're taking care of this pet. You're helping it grow. And what it is these the most gentle suggestions of to-dos in a day. Whether it is as simple as get out of bed, brush your teeth, drink water. You complete them, you get points, you grow your pet, whatever. It is a gentle reminder of things you want to do throughout the day, and you can reward yourself. And it is developed by, and here's the crucial difference, two independent developers that were college buddies that were just trying to help motivate each other. And I think that is an example I can point to of tech being able to help people, because I also read the subreddit.
I mean, that is a great example, and a lot of different things there. It's two people.
Exactly.
It's not seeking.
it's not for
a
growth,
huge
it's not for
valuation,
capitalism. Yeah.
and it's not. It doesn't sound like it's using a lot of generative AI.
No,
Also
it's
has
not
a
AI
point.
based. It has a point.
Yeah.
It is a very focused product with a core mission in mind of helping people. And that is something I can stand by.
Yeah, but I think most of these products we're seeing, is particularly in the AI
Especially
market,
from the big companies and the VCs.
they are. Everybody is out just doing this money grab.
Yes.
Everybody's just saying, "How do I grab
Because
this
the
space?"
motivation is different.
Well, it's because the
Well,
investors
hold on,
are
let me-
asking.
Exactly.
Of course, they're asking that. And what are they all doing? Why are they all doing this? They're all trying to chase the iPhone. They're all trying to chase something that happened in 2007.
Sure.
And let's point out, in
It's not happening
2007,
again.
the iPhone was a way more, even in its shittiest state,
Yeah,
2007,
yeah.
was a way more well thought out, well produced product
Yeah.
than any of the products
And it
we're
was
seeing
so
right now.
different.
And it also fixed
Yeah.
really big.
Yes,
I got
exactly.
I got
Yes.
the original iPhone. I
Yeah.
was a little nerd. I didn't have friends, but I did
Yeah.
have money saved up from writing. And I bought it, and I remember showing people visual voicemail, and people going, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" Because voicemail at the time was this defunct product where you had to like dial in and hit a button.
I do miss recording my voicemail message, though.
I do not.
I do. It's cute
People
as hell.
can barely understand me half the fucking time. So, unless I'm on this show, I hope. But like, you could send text messages, and it didn't involve you doing like the weird hitting the numbers thing.
Yeah.
They
The
were very
T9?
obvious.
I love the Tina. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just intention, right?
Yeah.
Like the intentionality.
No,
But
it
also
improved
real
things. It
people
improved
problems
things. Yeah,
experienced
yeah.
by humans.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Like-
right now, all we are doing is we are creating things, and everybody's sitting around saying, "Wow, I wish that a universal problem. Everybody
You're
wants to chronicle every moment of their life."
Yeah.
Cherlynn does.
I sure do.
But you actually don't.
Cherlynn.
You actually don't. You want to chronicle important moments at some point. You don't want to chronicle every moment.
No.
And also, no offense, Cherlynn is one person.
Yeah, I am the most important, but I am one person.
You are one person. You are like, that is a very small group of people, and they're like, everybody wants to do this.
You-
I
she's
think
right.
there is a
You're right.
much higher
It is
level
niche.
problem, though, which is they are not being like, well, you know what people have problems with? Remembering things. They're like, yeah, we can't fucking fix that. We actually can't fix that. Like, we can't fix that. Well, people have problems with communication. Yeah, well, we really also can't fix that. What can we do? Record everything and hope something fucking comes out? I don't know. These worms with
I
their
feel-
money, give it to me.
I feel like they took the nugget of a good idea, which is you have
Yeah.
been saying the glimmer of a good idea, and then they needed money to make that good idea work, and the only way to get that money is to say AI is the way.
And I agree. I think there's also another step, which is they actually can't do the good idea. I don't think they're capable of doing it because the good idea would be like, hey, listen to what's going on and just tell me what
Yeah.
things you think I might forget. It can't do that because the only thing they can do is have a big sludge of information, chuck it at a large language model, and hope something comes out other than like, I don't want to watch the Garbo movie, which is a quote from your article.
Yes, the Garbo movie was It Ends With Us, from my very 90-minute long
Also,
slant
I'm
of
worried-
how I don't want
Team
to
balcony.
watch that.
My cat Babu, I talk to him like a person. Like it's going to be like, you told Babu.
I also talked to my cat as a person, and it said that I had rough and tumble ride with them discussing childhood memories because it mentioned my cat, Petey.
Right.
And I'm like, Petey's my cat. And I was talking to the cat and I say, oh, who's a little baby? Who's innocent,
Wait, did it understand
innocent
that?
little menace? No, it just said that I have a dog named Edie.
Oh, great.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
No, with me it'd be like
So-
Hal saying to like Ed has talked to Hal, who he calls Mr. Beautiful and
Yeah.
Mr. Fluffy.
Yeah.
And he really is. He acts like the most beautiful cat in the world. He is.
I would imagine your fact Tinder would say Ed knows someone named Mr. Beautiful
Yes.
and he is fluffy or something like
Mr.
that.
Perfect, Mr.
Yeah.
Beautiful, and so on. It's just, and I think that's what it really is. We all are coming up with like distinct problems that can be solved,
Yeah.
and this is not what large language models do,
No.
and it's very difficult to get them to do specific things, as proven by the
like-
fact that none of the products exist.
You can't solve being human.
Yes.
That's the thing, is like we're all human.
I said this in a previous episode with you at the CS episode where I don't even think robotics need to be humanoid in nature,
yes.
but okay.
It's not an efficient form
Exactly.
of body.
Exactly. Or of repetitive movement. That's it.
And also, they're not even making the so much of this. What frustrates me, even with the Kevin Roose thing, it's like no real problem solved. What could an AGI could theoretically listen without recording and go, okay, I think you might need a reminder on this because I know you. These motherfuckers. Actually, that is the ultimate problem with this. It doesn't know you at all. It
Yeah.
actually doesn't know you.
That's
What
Because,
it
like,
has
you
is
said,
a
being human,
a
yeah.
That
slot.
actually reminds me of when I was testing the Meta Ray-Ban live AI. What?
You had hair.
Oh, I had
She's
hair.
just pulling a hair off.
I
of
was
the
Sorry.
pulling hair
It
off
just
me.
bugged me.
But
I
I
don't-
was testing that, and so it's live AI. It's multimodal. It can look at what you're looking at, and you can ask it questions, and it'll see what you're seeing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are actual use cases for that. I've had many blind and low vision people reach out to me
Yeah,
saying that could change
exactly.
their lives and
Yes.
Which is cool.
create something good. That is good. I love that. But, the demos that they were like suggesting that I try or whatnot, I looked at my room. I was like, tell me how I could make this room look less sad, basically. And there's like, oh, you could put art up. You could
Thank
have
you.
a plant. You could have some rugs. And I was like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
I
So
know
you could
the-
have just
what
Googled.
art?
Again,
What art
right,
should
I was
I
gonna
You
say
could
that.
text any
Like,
random
what
white
art
guy
should-
and they'd be like, I don't fucking know,
I was
put
like,
a plant
what-
in.
Yeah, what
What
type of
art
art
should I use? And
Put,
it was
put
like,
rainy
I had to ask-
forest.
I had to ask like 5 or 6 different questions, just digging and
Yeah.
digging and digging for this AI
Well,
to
that's because
suggest an artist. I asked my best friend. She said, you would love XYZ. I loved XYZ. I bought it immediately.
It's
I
not
just had
even
to ask a friend.
contextually
Yeah.
intelligent. It doesn't look around and go, okay, looking at the format of this room. It's just frustrating because it's the info slop. It is
Yep.
just collecting data and going,
See, I was telling Cherlynn about this earlier. I had a great moment where somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I use Claude AI as a therapist," and I was like, "You're unhinged. I love you."
It is
And
wrong.
so I was like, I'm going to talk to Claude AI. And I was talking to it, and I was telling her about how things were going and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I would really like it if you would recommend a book to me that kind of speaks to the experiences I'm having right now. And immediately it was like Goldfinch. And I was like,
Goldfinch.
I'm not familiar with
I
this.
read that book. Why that book?
What is this book
Explain-
about?
okay,
So this
Yeah.
book is a Bildungsroman from Donna Tartt, author of Secret History. It's about this little boy named Theo whose mom like dies in a terrorist attack at the Met, and he like steals a
Just
piece of art,
like
and
me.
it just goes through his life of just being like, well, I have money
Alex, the
problems 'cause
resemblance
she
is
died,
uncanny.
and-
It's so
and I'm
uncanny.
obsessed with a manic pixie dream girl,
Oh, that's
girl
true.
in the thing, and then I do
Okay.
a bunch of crime, and at the end of the book, he's just like, "Well, I've made life decisions."
Average better offline listener. No,
Yeah.
anyway.
but it was like I looked at that and I was like, well, this is a terrible fucking
Yep.
suggestion.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, suggest a movie to me. And it goes Silver Linings Playbook. And I was like,
Kids. No.
and honestly, it was the best moment in my entire experience
Yes.
with this thing. Because before that, I'd been like, wow, this starts
Yeah.
to get me. And I started almost like
Yes.
believe the AI understood
Yes.
me, even though I know for a fact it's stupid and it doesn't. And then it said Goldfinch and Silver Linings Playbook. And I was like, oh, right.
You're still wrong.
You are a stupid robot.
Yeah.
You are incapable of making the connections that humans make.
And
Right.
this is
You are so far from it
Yeah.
that you would recommend these to
This
me
was-
because all you did was you saw on the internet someone said goldfinch
It's a
and self-actualization or some shit.
Yep.
And so clearly it's going to
It's when
do
you
your
vectorize
moment.
every fucking fact and bit
Yeah.
of data, and you go, this is just like human
You
beings. are
assign
just,
3
you're
tags, and then you're like, yeah.
You're a relational database with
Yes.
legs. Like, what
Yeah.
Yes.
And I loved that moment because it immediately said, oh, yeah, this is a fucking robot.
You're going close to something that's not real.
Yeah, and it immediately pulled me out of it. I was like, "This is hysterical. I love this thing."
Yeah.
And I stopped using it for a minute because it like immediately
It broke you out of that
It broke me out of that
illusion. Yeah.
illusion, and
You
I
need moments
loved
like
that
that. Yeah, you do.
moment because it reminded me these things suck. They're not human.
Well, hang on. There was a point up until that you were like, this doesn't suck though.
Oh no, yeah, I love it. Like I said, I love this thing because it is a big. It's like a
The
horoscope.
validation machine, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a big validation machine, and just like a horoscope, it makes me feel pretty.
Yeah.
And then it recommends Silver Linings Playbook or Goldfinch, and I'm reminded that it's a horoscope.
Yeah. This was go on.
No, you were saying something.
I was just going to say that this was the point in the conversation we were having just now, Alex, where you and I were both like, it is all still logic programming. It is all still input output. It is,
Right.
and as much and as sophisticated as the output seems, it is still input output, which is the basis of most computing.
Right.
And it's like, until it so-called thinks for itself, that AGI question isn't there. Like the 2-3
And it's
years
not
ago,
gonna
Blake
be
Lemoine was like,
capable of that.
it's never going to be, because it takes the human brain to be capable
It
of that.
also is not doing what we don't even understand
even, yeah.
intelligence, but it is relational data, but like, it's very, very complex. And I realize someone's going to listen and go, it's not a relational data. Shut the fuck, go outside. But it's like, it's relational things. It's just looking and going, well, based on what you've said, I think this. And as a thing with no experiences, I'm going to say, fucking sure. Like, it's
You're right.
goldfinch. Goldfinch.
It's about growth.
You
It's
should-
about life. Therefore, assign it
It's
to
also
Alex.
just, like emotions, like we don't even understand emotions. How is
We don't.
AI
It's not
supposed to
we barely
understand?
He's not
Yeah.
even smart enough to be like Howl's Moving Castle, which would
Yeah.
cheer me up any time.
Yeah, if it had said that, I would have been
Aw.
like,
Sick.
damn. I wouldn't be here right now because I'd still be just talking to Claude AI. We'd be getting married.
You would-
We'd have a date set.
you would have proposed.
Oh my
I would
God.
I would
intervene. She has
attend.
been sending me
Yeah.
screenshots of like the Claude, and I'm just like, haha, love that for you, girl. But it's also just like, but it's also like I'm monitoring because
Yeah.
if you get too crazy into
Yeah,
it,
it's
I'm
like-
just gonna be like, it's not real.
Yeah,
I know
horrible.
of people who use it, and I've read of cases on Reddit where people use it as their mental health replacement, like
Don't
their
do that.
therapist
It's not.
stand in, and it's
So
not.
bad.
I think we are aware it's not. I worry for the people out there who are not, who are talking to ChatGPT like it is their
We
partner
need a
or
better
their
health
doctor.
care system.
was just thinking
Kevin
this.
Roose.
Okay,
Ke-
there you go. That's the
This
New
is-
York Times audience.
This is
no?
why it actually connects to why I'm so pissed off at Kevin. He should know better. But a lot of people don't. The reason that I think a lot of right-wing YouTubers have taken over like how men think is because a lot of people are just looking for something to tell them what they want to hear. And this is the biggest machine to do that in
And
the
that
world.
validation you were talking about will
Exactly.
validate them.
It
And not
validates.
challenging at all. It's not. It might challenge you in the most gentle way.
It never challenged me. It just told me I was great.
Yeah.
And then, although it told me like areas I could slightly improve.
Oh,
Oh, like a performance
I
review.
can get rid of my typos, it told me, and then I'll win a Pulitzer.
Oh my god, I tell you that all the time.
these motherfuckers love to tell
Many
people they're going to win
people.
Pulitzers.
I know. It's
Well,
really
yeah, it's
honest.
really
Never
weird.
told me.
I have tried, by the way, to use it like a mental health thing.
Sure.
And I've had to just be like, be ruder. Push back. And it can barely do it. It cannot fucking keep up with my swag. I just demolish
Keep
it.
up.
Well, it's like
I brutalize it. It's
there's,
got
like-
nothing.
There's like this Korean term called nunchi, and
Okay.
it means like you should be able to read a room.
Emotional
Basically.
intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. It's like nunchi. It's like I'm not good at translating, but it's like eye power or something like that.
That's cool.
And so like Korean parents will tell you like, oh, what you don't you have nunchi? It's because you should be able to look at a
Read the room.
room and see what's going on, see what people are saying, read between the lines, and make conclusions based on that. AI can't do that.
But that's exactly the problem with the B and exactly the problem with large language models. It literally cannot read the room. All it can do is
Right.
read this blob of text,
Correct.
this thing, and go, based on all of the training I've done from stealing the internet, I think that you will win a Pulitzer or you or Cat.
Or like syntaxically, your writing is similar to someone who has won a Pulitzer.
Right.
So
Just comparing. Yeah.
And that's
Like,
all that it is. It's
yeah.
just each year the Pulitzer looks for like the most similar thing to the last year.
Yeah.
Because that's how human beings make
and it's
choices.
only a chapter, and it's like that chapter won you a Pulitzer.
yeah.
But when you ask it, it's like, I never stole anything. Cherlynn, so you covered the, I actually have somehow missed this because I didn't want to know. The Alexa AI, what are they fucking doing? The Alexa Plus.
Man.
What are these people? I
They're
read an
saying they're
interview
doing
with Nilay
things.
Patel and I didn't get any information. So if you could tell me.
With Panos Panay, I'm assuming the new hardware chief at, or senior vice president, I think, of devices and services at Amazon. Anyway, got a chance to speak with him and also did an interview where I basically learned nothing because Panos is that kind of an enigma, by the way. He just talks.
Oh, yeah.
He is charming
I
as
think
hell.
enigma is a very kind way of saying guy who doesn't say anything despite his paycheck, but
Fair enough.
That's my opinion.
Media training.
That's media training, and I have to admit that I tend to be suckered in by that. I'm the sort of person who will fall for that.
He's got
very quickly.
impeccable
these people
media.
will never
Yes.
come on this show. They will never.
So Alexa, and apologies to everyone that has an Echo speaker. Please go mute your speakers right now. But Alexa Plus is the redesigned version of that assistant that Amazon's been promising forever, right? So it's been like, we're going to use LLMs, we're going to use generative to make a more conversational language flow between you and the assistant, and you can pause yourself in between talking or speaking your comments, or like correct yourself mid-sentence, or say a lot of things and not use contextual like follow-up questions and that sort of thing.
Right.
And it should process that. It's supposed to be like very handle complex tasks, right? You can stack tasks. You can also
What
I
kind
found,
of tasks?
so like no, look at my Ring camera feed and see if any like huskies showed up, or if anybody walked my dog today,
Okay.
or something, that sort of thing. Still simplistic
Can
in
it
nature.
set multiple timers?
It, you know what? Here's the thing. At that event, we had a hands-on quote in air quotes, because we didn't actually get hands-on. We were just shown a lot of demos, and it felt very rehearsed. I don't like that sort of event. I don't call it hands-on because we
Right.
didn't use it ourselves. So anyway,
Eyes on.
eyes on. I was most intrigued, however, by Amazon's promise of how it's going to integrate with third-party services, which is one of the things that these assistants are historically very
kind
bad
of like
at.
the agentic.
Exactly.
side of
Is
Yeah,
the
but
agentic-
wait. We've heard that word now.
I don't like agentic.
It's not.
It's
Isn't this
But
the same
what does
thing?
it do?
yes.
web
so
forms.
So let's set aside the agentic question for a moment and talk about the third-party integration.
Yes,
thing,
Panos. What does
where
it
it's
do?
But I hope I'm more. I
No,
talk in
you'll
concrete
actually say
terms.
stuff.
Yes. Sorry, Panos.
Not sorry
There's
for me.
3 parts that Daniel Bosch, their VP, I apologize for the last name thing, mentioned. So one was the APIs, right? It will work with people that it knows are its partners, so Uber, Spotify, etc., to API into its assistant, so that you can say something like, "Oh, get me an Uber for whatever," or "Get me a," like just be very natural with how you talk to your assistant. The second is agentic, so it's going to have. This was funny to me. Alexa, a chatbot, talk to other chatbots on the internet, and they will just talk to each other on your behalf.
Cherlynn,
Why would I want them
I
to?
respect the shit out of you, but I must say, you just said the magic words of "it will do."
It's supposed to.
That's
well,
the
okay.
thing.
It claims. Listen, Ed, you get out of my face because
nowhere near
write.
you.
I write carefully.
I know you
write.
do.
There's a
write
lot of
when I
hand movements
speak.
going on.
When I speak, I don't edit after. Anyway, it's supposed to.
I do sound like that.
Thank you. It's supposed to. I don't do British. Now where was I?
Yeah, it's
Supposed to have the assistants talk to each other. We've seen no demonstrations of this. Well, I mean, we saw an on-stage demo.
Like
again-
they did the whole
People.
thing.
Here's
where they're
my
like,
question.
It can order an Uber.
Yes.
For
or you can order food through Amazon Fresh.
Who wants
for
to do
example.
that? Who wants to do this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who wants to do this? Because if I'm going to ask it to order an Uber, is it going to be like Siri, where I asked it to call my mom and it called my aunt that I haven't talked to in 15 years, and they have
It's
totally different names?
supposed to be.
Yeah, but
better.
how can you even call an
Supposed to.
Uber on it?
Yeah,
How is
you're
it
gonna
gonna-
call an
You're
Uber.
supposed to
I'm
say.
in
So
my-
here's the demo they gave, and I'm sure I think that was what Victoria was going to
Yeah.
get through. The demo they gave were like, oh, what was that restaurant I liked? And then like Alexa Plus will be like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, make me a reservation at that second one. So instead of having to like whatever,
That's
right?
almost useful. Other
And
than
yeah, a lot of assistants are supposed to get close to doing
Except
that
for
too.
you're expected to put your trust.
Yes, that
in
it will get
from
it correctly.
Every single
Yes.
point of
Or
that.
it's
Yes.
like-
And it is not capable of that. You have
and
to
they're
build
charging
that
more
trust.
for this. Yes.
Well, no. Prime subscribers get it for free. You have to pay if you're not a Prime subscriber, which like
Like
Right.
Why
one
would
of
you?
one of the demos, like, so I wasn't there, but I was listening through an
yeah.
audio feed.
I was streaming the feed to my team.
Yeah. So basically, there was like one demo where it was like, oh, can you find me tickets to this
Yes.
Red Sox game for oh, that's a little too pricey. Can you set an alert?
Yeah.
And basically David was like, I already found tickets for that exact game for $56 online.
Right. You can do it
So
faster
you can
by
do
Googling.
it faster yourself.
Yes.
And then there's also just like, oh, tell me what time so-and-so's flight is coming in.
Right.
Oh, okay. Send an
Send an
Uber,
yeah,
to
to pick
pick
them
her
This
up.
up.
kind of feels
And
like,
it's like, that's not how Uber at JFK works.
Right. Exactly.
it kind of feels like this was designed for mid-level executives who can't afford their own assistant.
Yes.
This
me.
sounds like it was designed to do this fucking event.
I guess so.
Me.
Yeah.
I need
This
an
just
assistant.
sounds like it was they designed enough things to demo
Yes.
an event.
I agree with you.
No,
And
I'm not criticizing you,
Oh,
just
no,
to be
I know,
clear.
I know. I want to point out that I was getting to a point, which is that none of this was interesting to me because it's been done / been attempted to be done / you can do it better yourself.
Google's been doing this for 5 years.
Exactly.
It's big
And it
if
doesn't
you
Duplex.
work.
And it didn't work.
And
Yeah,
Duplex
Google
didn't
was notably a big phony when it did it. When it had the
What, Duplex?
Duo.
was it
No,
the
Duplex.
AI that called?
Yeah, the restaurant reservation
Yeah.
Duplex.
fake.
Well, I don't know because I haven't looked at it myself. Right?
I just never could find that in
I
the
believe
wild.
a lot of the.
I have
reporting
used
was-
it myself to
I-
get them to
that's one
call
of the few-
Mala Project.
Yeah, great restaurant.
To make a reservation.
I
and it
just
did.
like I keep coming back to this thought of who is this actually for? Because I don't know. The way I live my life is not like I'm like, what's that restaurant I like? And I need to make a
Maybe-
reservation at the restaurant that I like enough to make a reservation, but not enough to
So,
remember it.
You're getting to a point that I've had with a problem that I've had with AI is that, you have to know how to prompt it.
Yes,
Great.
The
but
things
that's
that you want.
That's what Amazon's trying
So
to solve
smart.
with the new Alexa thing because
trying to solve.
Yes, exactly.
Because, like-
which I'm sorry, I had a long conversation with
Alexa
someone else about this.
invented that type of
Yes,
prompting.
exactly. So you get us to learn how to talk to our assistants in a very specific way. Now you want us to talk naturally to it, as if that's not learning a whole other type of behavior.
It's a whole language.
as if it's going to work like I'm talking to my friends. It's not. I can get like all kinds of incensed
I
about
remember,
this.
I was testing. What was it? I got a demo of Project Astra back at
yeah,
IO.
yeah.
And I was just like talking to it, and they were like, "No, you can talk normal." And I was
In
like,
Project
I have,
Yes, you have to
Astra.
remember.
I have
Astra
like
is the the one.
13
From Google.
frickin' years of going, hey Google, Alexa. Like that,
Yeah.
that exact
Very
Siri, play
specific
Oingo
voice.
Boingo.
Yeah.
Little girls.
I am so excited for a bunch of your listeners.
They
Yeah, they're
punish me
so
every day
sorry.
with
You need a warning at the start of this episode to
Sorry.
mute
I
all
will
your
be
devices.
warning
I
nobody,
think.
just-
oh, no.
No
Well,
one
okay.
should be
Just
warned.
so
Well, I
it's
do that
clear,
on our
this is Ed's
podcast.
fault.
Yeah, this is all Ed's fault.
I'm
Better
reckless.
production.
It is my fault.
It's on your listeners for listening
To
without
you
the
without-
I
headphones.
will
exactly.
get someone to beep it
Exactly.
out if I remember, which I
There
won't.
you go.
Um,
Sorry,
No,
we
go ahead.
ummed at the same time. I was gonna say, like, yeah, Project Astra is interesting. I don't know if it'll work yet, but Astra is Google's like experimental implementation of Gemini, where like you can use your phone's camera to point it around
Yeah,
a
no.
room, and then it'll remember things it saw, even if it's not.
And I
in
wanna be
frame
really
right
clear
now.
about
I want to
something.
if I had a dollar for every single time a tech exec said multimodal,
I'm just
like
I want
be
to be, no,
rich.
I want to be really clear on something. They've been promising this stuff
Yes.
for 10,
Yeah.
15 years at this point. Alexa came out in 2014? Or 2014, that's when they first announced this. There's a big reason we haven't seen huge changes, even with fairly good generative AI and fairly good large language models that can listen to us and really understand our speech. And that is because computers still can't process all this stuff. Because if you and I are both in the same room and you're
Yeah.
asking Alexa for that restaurant,
Overtalk, yeah.
and I'm saying, no, don't forget the restaurant.
Right,
What
right.
movie
They
we want to
can't
go
do
You
to?
can only do with one stream of data at a time.
Okay, here's an article
Useless.
from The Verge. June 13, 2016. Apple opens up Siri to app developers. This shit is nearly here for a fucking decade. And
So, I mean, look, I will take note against that. Like, nothing has changed because I think the Echo speaker alone has changed the way a lot of people
I
think
disagree.
of
what
this.
does it do?
I
now?
speak to my speaker a lot. I
What does
do
it
like
do for
it's
you?
hands-free control, smart home control
It's
for me.
also
That's
for
all-
elderly.
No, but-
Yes, but that's what I mean. But yes,
elderly people,
you don't
people who are
understand the-
alone.
yes.
Oh, no, it's
in the
sick. I have-
healthcare
People with
system.
accessibility issues, mobility issues, they can use that and it works well. And they're working with VoiceIt to make it better for people with speech impediments.
And I agree. That sounds
It is
great.
important.
But it's no. I think voice control.
Yes,
super
I
important.
don't mean Alexa.
I will say all of these products currently are not as good as what they suggest.
Exactly.
They are not that.
No, they
helpful for the
constantly make
elderly.
promises. Yeah.
There's
And
that measure of
make
comfort.
they sow their oats on things like what. And you're right to say that, by the way. But they're like, oh, you can't hate this because the elderly might.
No.
You can.
You absolutely should.
I
hate it.
can and I will. I'm
It's
doing
not
it right now.
universal, right?
Right.
It's like smart glasses.
Yeah.
When they first came out, everyone was like, "Fuck that."
Oh,
Glass
but
holes,
everybody
right?
thought Google Glass was cute though.
No.
Still my LinkedIn picture. Anyway.
No. Anyway, just
Scribble in
like
the shower.
But it had use cases in enterprise for a
Yeah.
long time, and
Like
that's where it
HoloLens, yeah.
thrived
Yeah.
because it had a specific use case for a specific time.
but here's the thing.
And
that
it's
was the
too
only
expensive
thing-
for
And
that.
how often was it actually used for that? Because that's the thing. They always say it's got play in the enterprise. How much play? How much revenue? How much use?
Do
That's
you
fair.
know how many people are putting on a HoloLens right now to
In the
turn some sort of
military?
wrench on a pipe?
Like
No.
3.
zeros.
No, that's
And a
that's
half.
also
Zeros.
that's
But
also
for
a
a
good
minute
point.
there?
But like, there's nothing wrong with some of this tech just being very use case specific,
Right.
and just
they
exploring
were
it
selling
that
it
way.
on
If
that.
they were selling it on that, if they were being honest
They're
about
making
that,
it-
but they're
yeah.
making it something for everybody.
Right,
It's
'cause
something
that's how they make the
is
money that they want to
universal.
But they
make.
don't even make the money now.
well, that's how they're
Alexa's lost
supposed to.
billions of dollars.
But they don't even like
It's
acknowledge.
not that.
Yeah.
It's to get a higher valuation
Yeah.
from
The-
the stock market.
Exactly.
It's all just for investors to be like, well, they're going to do something in 20 years. I mean, that's the entire
But I
reason
think even
Elon
investors are-
Musk is in our
Well, so like
faces.
Yes.
the one was the other thing that came out this week that they're gonna add like live translations to the AirPods
Yeah.
possibly and all of that sort
Which
of stuff.
I think is already on Google.
It's
very-
already
Casey
on the
Kagawa,
Pixel,
friend
yeah,
of the show,
Pixel
corrected
Buds,
me.
they talk about how like AI can enable
It's
live
been in the works
translation
for so
all
long,
the
but
time.
yes, yeah.
I've tested a bunch of
Yep.
live translation stuff, and it's only good for like, where is the bathroom?
Yep.
Here is your bill.
It's not good for
If
real
you
conversations.
are supposed to have real conversations, and I wrote about this when The Humane came out, and absolutely could not, for its life, translate a single fucking thing I said as like.
And
a
how would you know it's
semi-multilingual
wrong? You
person.
don't speak the fucking language.
That too. But then, like, you know, the other thing is just like there are times where I wish that I had some sort of like AI translator
Right.
in my
Universal
life,
translator thing.
That you
especially
could
in my
trust.
life,
Yep,
that I could trust. Like when my mom was sick, the thing that they don't tell you about neurodegenerative diseases is that you will lose your second language as it happens. So my mom lost her ability to speak English. My father lost his ability to speak English as well. They raised me so that I did not speak Korean well. I can understand it, but I can only say like bagel pot,
But
I'm hungry.
so they
and-
could
and
understand
stuff
you,
like
but
that.
you
Yeah.
can't
And
get them to understand
So,
you.
like my family,
I mean-
we operate as if I am Chewbacca, the English-speaking Chewbacca, and everyone else speaks Korean, and we understand each
Korean
other.
Chewbacca.
I am Korean Chewbacca in my family, but in any
Can you
case,
just give me a phrase in Korean, Chewbacca? That would be lovely.
like I'll just be like, so actually, I like my Korean is such that in my brain that like one time I was in a taxi cab with non-Korean speakers, and he was asking us a question, and I understood him, and I told him where to go. I don't know the words I used, but I told him where to go accurately, and my
just
friends were
wanna
like,
hear sounds.
"You lying bitch! You speak Korean," and I was like, "No, I really can't."
you just blacked out.
I blacked out, and I
Korean
just told him
fury.
where
Oh,
to
it's
go.
like when Ron used parcel tongue in Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like that's
Harry.
my Korean.
No.
It's like-
Ron did it in Final Deathly Halos.
Anyway, but like me
Fuck
speaking
J.K.
Korean
Rowling.
is just
Sorry.
like.
There we
So,
go.
I agree. Obligatory.
No,
no, it's fine. You're
Obligatory.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So like when you get to the translation thing, it can't do slang. It can't do
Of course,
the fact
yeah.
that like
I will admit, when I did talk to the Humane AI in Cantonese, it did do colloquial better than any other language translator I've used, which is hilarious.
It
to me.
feels like translation, though, is the most obvious one where it can't fail. Because
Yeah.
the nuances of language, and I have a coordinational disability, dyspraxia, spatial awareness. It really affects my ability to learn languages because structural concepts not so good. So learning, I couldn't learn French. I failed French, Latin, German, Spanish. Like the school kept throwing them at me. It's like, haha, fuck you.
You're really good at failing. I love
no,
that.
I'm like the fail master.
Yeah.
And it was because like the way English works is very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't care and was very depressed. But it really was the structural stuff, like trying to learn another language when you don't get those concepts. And I imagine large language models also have this problem.
and
because
then add to the fact that not all languages are higher. Like English is a very low context
Yep.
language, and Asian languages are
Yeah,
high
high context
context.
I don't even know what that means.
So what that means is
a
like,
lot of things are
um,
unsaid, basically.
A lot of things are unsaid.
Huh.
A lot of things are like how you talk to a person in Japanese and Korean, which are my languages that I studied, depends on are they older than you?
Yep.
You're going to talk to them differently if they're older than you.
Use a
and
different
there's no way
character
for the
when-
language to express that.
No,
Or
there-
less- or-
you're going to be using things in that to express that. Or like if I
But you
say
couldn't-
something to you
Right.
in Japanese and I'm just like, so classic business example that they give for Japanese is you ask a yes or no question and they go like, ooh, that might be difficult. That means no.
Okay.
Oh, Singlish is like this.
Yeah.
Singlish has a
It's
saying
like
called
those-
"can is can," which means it can't be done. Like it's
Yeah.
in you can do this. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. That's
Wait,
the
how
sort
the
of thing.
fuck am I meant to-
How is LLM meant to pick? Yeah, you
up.
How is it supposed to
It
know
can't.
that?
Well, this is why not everyone at the UN is wearing a B at the moment.
Yeah.
Or the Google headphones
Or
or,
Pixel
any of these
Buds
other
or whatever,
ones.
yeah.
This is why they have real human translators. We
But
see
it's 'cause
these
they don't
we
say
see this
no.
translating stuff work.
But you can't. You're paying for the trust.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pay for the trust because Google Translate is really, really great if I need to go double check something. But if there was ever a time where I needed to be like, hey, I need to know what this is in Japanese, I am not asking Google Translate. I'm
can for
texting
very
V.
basic things. Like if you're saying like, oh, I have. Oh, so another thing was like I would have friends visit me when I lived in Japan, and they would be like, oh, I can't eat this for. Because I'm a vegan, I was like, we can't say that you're a vegan. They won't.
Yeah, no,
understand
in
that.
Mandarin we don't have that
You
either.
have to say that you have an allergy to meat, and then they'll take it out.
And
for
that
you.
is.
Well, we
It's
have
a
vegetarian,
psychological
we have
allergy.
vegetarian.
yeah.
See, this is the thing that drives me insane about all of this, because looking at Rob out to hating Kevin Roose's work. But it's like these people vigorously beating off about AGI. It's like based on an entire industry of people saying, yeah, it sort of works, but it doesn't. And by the way, it burns billions of dollars. And by the way, will it get better?
Yeah.
Probably not, but it will. My company is so powerful and strong and so weak and sick, it's the best thing ever, but also is dying.
And this is exactly what they said with VR. They said, you know what? Give it a minute. If we just keep going,
15 years in.
everybody's gonna be doing VR. Yeah. Everybody's gonna be moving on to AR, and it doesn't happen because they're trying to force something. It's not the phone.
But it's kind of
Give
like,
up.
But it's kind of like VR in the sense that like. For VR to work in the Ready Player One thing, which is fucking insane. If you want Ready Player One to be real, first
I like
of all,
how that's your touch point.
but also terrible film, worst book, written
Awful.
for simpleton
Awful.
book.
Of all the
Awful.
VR examples, we could
remember
use.
all the things that you know. But also, that film was a dystopia. The other thing
Yes.
is, it's an extrasensory psychological experience. You would need things that
So many.
need to that do not even the beginnings of exist. You don't have something that can take over your senses and you can move in a space vastly different.
Accessibility in VR and augmented reality is like really tough.
We're not even
It is
there.
tough.
And in the same way with AI, we don't have a thinking computer. This shit can't do anything on its own. You try and like, oh, agents are here. Fuck you. Agents are nowhere. Stop using that word every time you use the word agent. I feel like
Chatbots.
Norman Finkelstein. Mr. Borelli. Anyway, for
I
little
love
reference
that
for
this
people.
podcast loves voices.
I love doing voices.
Ed loves voices.
I
Yeah, I
love
can tell.
voices. It's just every time I hear from these fucking companies and how much
Yeah.
money they have, and they're like, here is something that sucks. It stinks. You should be so excited. You need to be excited for this. It sucks. It doesn't do the thing you want it to do. Can it do this? No.
Yeah.
Will it do this? Trust me.
Well, if you get us to our next round of funding,
But even if you're like Amazon or Google,
we won't. Yeah.
Apple.
The thing I hate most about all of this, that beyond everything we've already said, and I think we've already kind of alluded to this with what you just said, Ed, which is we're spending a lot of money on things that don't work, but we in the process generating a lot of waste, generating a lot of like energy loss. All the server farms that are just going to take over this world just to back up and store all of that data that they're scoping and like
That
grabbing
is the
from
only
you.
reason I love AI is every time I'm like, am I pretty? I know it is costing someone so much money to
server
have that
farm.
little
They
shitty
just-
robot be like, you're the
a
cutest.
dump
And our
truck of like
environment
animals
loves you.
into a furnace.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm
You're
destroying the
burning our
environment.
planet
It's like, how
to
many-
get validation from Claude.
Thank you.
How many bees have they sold?
That I don't know.
'Cause-
They're in like a beta thing. It's
Okay.
technically an Apple Watch app too. You don't actually need to buy their hardware.
Fuck
So you-
yeah. This company rules. I fucking love this. There's so many.
How many humane AI pins have caught on fire and then are now in the trash because they turned all the
I mean,
features
that company.
off? They said 10,000
Rules.
units, they said?
Yeah,
Something like that?
I
company
love
doesn't exist
Humane
anymore.
was the biggest like dunce moment for members of the media that I'm
was
not
so
going to
great.
name. So many people were like, "This is going to be great," even though it was like, "Yeah, it's a
They
700."
got so mad at me when I wrote my translation piece, and they were like, "We need to talk." And then I was like, "Let's talk." And
Was
then
it
they
Bethany that
ghosted
reached
me.
out, or-
Yeah, they ghosted me. Like,
Yeah, well, they
immediately.
ghosted us.
Two
Yeah,
management consultants, both lacking dignity. Anyway. We have to bring this to an end because we are running out of time, and otherwise I'm just going to start reading the Kevin Roose bit again. That motherfucking...
That was an irresponsible piece to write.
It is irresponsible. I think that is a good kind of place to get some final thoughts, where it's like, it's not just that these things don't work and they stink and they're expensive and they burn billions of dollars, they destroy the environment, they steal from everyone.
Not just that, sure.
Yeah. Other than those things, by representing them as imminently useful and helpful, the only thing you are doing is empowering the powerful and creating more cycles where useful things don't get funded and useless things get more money than ever. And it's disgusting. I know it sounds a little dramatic to be like, the guy said the computer was too smart, but you're speaking on the New York Times, and it's not just him, it's Ezra Klein as well, another fucking moron. Jesus fucking Christ, these guys. Put one... just like put like anyone in this room, I think they do a much fucking better job. But it's just like, it's empowering people who do not have anyone's best interests in mind, or actually fixing anyone's real problems,
and or are out of touch.
Yes,
Yeah.
Or just
if they're
acknowledging.
I still maintain if
Exactly.
you get a certain income, you're not allowed to have
Yeah.
online. Like you
Yes.
can't talk online.
Yeah.
Because you are so out of touch from
Yeah.
the rest of us. I don't want to hear it.
No, it's,
What's the number?
Way more than I make.
Well, yeah, but
it's the thing
I think like
a mil
it's like
or 100 mil?
it's like a couple of million, right? Like,
Yeah.
like if you're like, oh, I can go spend $12K on a first class ticket. You have too much money,
So
you can't talk anymore.
No, it reminds me of the Sam Altman moment on this My Favorite Notebook podcast, where he's like,
Yeah, so I write my little notes and I crumple them up and I throw them behind me. And
that's a really good accent.
The housekeeper comes by and
I don't know where she comes, which means she's there all the time. And it's just like, first of all, you said in front of a person you have a housekeeper. Second of all, you could not remember when they're there, which means they're always there. And third of all, you're just creating, like you're fucking AI, you're just creating trash information that you throw around and expect someone else to clean up. Loathsome little fucks. Anyway, great place to end it. Cherlynn, where can people find you?
Engadget.com. And I guess, I don't know what social media platform to shout out. Blue Sky, Cherlynn.bsky.social.
Alex?
Yeah, I'm about to start.
Spart.
Yeah.
Shart? No.
I'm going to start this over
Okay,
again.
that's enough.
Yeah. I am about to start a 4-week special engagement at Gizmodo. I'm going to be hanging out with those folks and saying all sorts of things that really need to be said about technology because, oh boy, are we in a moment.
In a great moment.
And you can also find me on all social media platforms until I make enough money where I don't have to use them.
Beautiful.
Victoria?
You can find me at Vic M Song on every social media platform, and I write at The Verge.
You can find me on the New York Times. My name's Kevin Roose.
Oh, God.
And I will be saying multiple
Catfished. We've been catfished.
I am Kevin Roose. No, you can find me on all my social media platforms. Ed Zitron. There isn't another one, thankfully, because I think they...
Weren't you in the New Yorker, though? Aren't you in the New
You
Yorker?
were recently.
I was
Woo!
yeah, they ketchup too spicied me. They were like right at the beginning of it. I didn't think that he
Really?
wasn't recording yet, and he was like, I was like, yeah, is the Kung Pao chicken spicy? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, thankfully he kept up the bit where it was like, is the plum chicken spicy? And the bit where I was like eating white rice and going, oh, hot, hot. Me going on
So
hot
white
ones
of
and
you.
just drinking
Let's
the
get
milk.
Cinderboo after this.
Yeah.
Please don't kill me. But yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. It's been another Radio Better Offline. And Alexa, play Tool 46 and 2.
That's cruel.
Some bangs, I don't care. It's one of the greatest songs of all time. Thank you for listening to Better Offline. The editor and composer of the Better Offline theme song is Matt Osowski. You can check out more of his music and audio projects at matosowski.com. MATTOSOWSKI.com. You can email me at easy@betteroffline.com or visit betteroffline.com to find more podcast links and, of course, my newsletter. I also really recommend you go to chat.wheresyoured.at to visit the Discord and go to r/betteroffline to check out our Reddit. Thank you so much for listening.
Better Offline is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.